In today's video, I'm going to take you through an osteoarthritis patient story. And do make sure you stay tuned until the very end because I'm going to be picking out 5 key points from this story to help you manage your osteoarthritis better at home. And we're going to start right now. For the purpose of the video, this lady is going to be called Joan. Now, Joan had knee pain for approximately a year and it hadn't got any better. So she decided that she needed to go and see her doctor or GP. She told her GP and her GP sent her for an X-ray. Needless to say, the X-ray came back with some osteoarthritic change. So the GP decided that she needed a referral to orthopedics. She went to see the orthopedic surgeon who told her her pain wasn't bad enough and the X-ray wasn't bad enough to warrant surgery, but she could have an injection if she wanted to. She didn't really like the sound of the injection, so the other option was, let's try physio. Before she left the appointment, she did ask for some advice about pain and activities, specifically stairs, because they were uncomfortable. And he advised her to stop using stairs and to stop doing activities that were painful to avoid making that degenerative joint any worse. On Joan's first appointment, when we completed her initial assessment, she was pretty unconvinced about the fact that physiotherapy could help. She'd already been told that she has a degenerative joint that is probably going to get worse with time. So we completed the assessment and we discussed what her options were. During the assessment, it was clear to me that actually the knee was functioning quite well. She had good power and she had good movement. But the biggest take home that I gained from the assessment was that she was very worried and anxious about moving the knee and using the knee. So we discussed her options. Now, typically with osteoarthritis, you want to try and manage things conservatively first. That's where physio comes in, with pacing, education, advice, exercise, heat, ice, medication, whatever else you can think of as an adjunct, and then you move on to the more invasive sort of treatments if the conservative treatment hasn't worked. And we'd already established that she didn't want an injection and she didn't want surgery. So she was willing to give physio a try. In terms of what we could offer her, we ran an osteoarthritis education class where we talked about osteoarthritis in more detail. We busted a few myths and misconceptions that surround OA, and we also talked about pain, the complexities around pain and how this can help us manage OA better. We also had a gym on site. She agreed to come to that as well, so I put a very specific tailored exercise program together for her that she could complete in the class with another therapist. In the first few sessions, Joan wasn't doing anything too difficult or lifting anything too heavy. It was just about trying to challenge her beliefs about what happened when she was moving her knee. So we started with some very gentle functional exercises like some supported squats, some supported lunges, exercises like that, and educating her that the pain that she was experiencing wasn't going to do any long-term harm and it wasn't damaging anything further. As she started to understand this and buy into this, her confidence grew. And as her confidence grew, she was happy to try more difficult exercises. So we started to complete the exercises through more range of movement, and she was happy to add a little bit of weight as well. In conjunction with this, we had a gym step, one of those Reebok steps in the gym that we also incorporated into her program. And after practicing that for a few weeks, she was able to do 3 lots of 12 step-ups with very little pain. And at this point, I decided to broach the stairs subject again. Now, she was still quite dubious about using the stairs because she'd been told by an orthopedic surgeon it was going to cause more damage to her knee. But we discussed that actually in the gym, she completed nearly 3 times the amount of steps that she needed to get up the stairs at home. So she agreed to try it. She came back the next week saying that she'd done the stairs with no problems and very little pain whatsoever. Joan continued her progression and the last session culminated in her nearly falling off the wobble board in the gym because she was trying to do a single leg squat. It was at this point we discussed that she was probably strong enough and confident enough to manage her osteoarthritis independently. Now, I did say if you stay tuned until the end of the story, I would take you through 5 key points that we can take from it to help you manage your osteoarthritis better at home. Point number 1 is that words are exceptionally powerful and they have a profound impact on how we think, what we believe and our emotions as well. And this can come from friends and family, what you read or see on social media or online, or your healthcare professional. Phrases like wear and tear, degeneration, and bone on bone are often used in conjunction with osteoarthritis, but they're all very outdated and they just paint this picture of an unhealthy joint. We know that bone on bone doesn't actually occur, and we know that your joint has the ability to wear, but it also has the ability to repair. We know that anxiety and fear of movement are likely to make your pain worse, not better. And if Joan had been given more positive messages, accurate messages at the beginning of her treatment pathway, she probably would have found that her pain got a lot better a lot quicker. Point number 2 is that there is far more to pain than structure and damage. Now, pain is a protective mechanism designed to keep you safe in a threatening situation. But your perception of that threat plays a big role in how much pain you actually experience. It's not Joan's fault, but because her perception of using the stairs at home was that it was going to do a lot more damage to her knee, her perception was that this was actually a very threatening situation and her pain response was quite a lot greater. We didn't really talk about this in the gym when we used the stairs, we just got her to try it. The perception of threat in this instance was very low, and at which point she had no pain, even though the mechanism of the movement was exactly the same. Your joint can be sensitive, but we know that pain correlates quite poorly with structure, which is why we can confidently say you're fine and safe to move into tolerable levels of it. Point number 3 is X-rays. Now, if you have watched other videos in the osteoarthritis series on the channel, you will know that X-rays have their limitations and they are often overused. Now, if we were to X-ray 100 people over the age of 40 with no pain, the chances are that X-ray would come back with some degree of osteoarthritis. It's just a sign that as we get older, our joints change and it's normal. So why Joan's doctor decided to send her for an X-ray to see if she had osteoarthritis, given she was in her mid to late 60s, I'm not quite sure. We also know that X-rays correlate quite poorly with pain, meaning that somebody can have quite a healthy looking X-ray but have high levels of pain, and somebody could have quite a bad looking X-ray with hardly any pain at all. We also know that an X-ray is very unlikely to change our treatment plan if we want to try and manage things conservatively first. What actually happened in this instance was that Joan nearly ended up with more invasive treatments, including surgery, that she didn't actually need. And lastly, we know that if we X-rayed Joan's knee at the end of her treatment, it would have looked exactly the same, if not slightly worse, because she was slightly older than it did at the beginning, despite the fact she'd seen a significant increase in her function and a significant decrease in her pain. Point number 4 is that there is far more to exercise than just getting things moving and gaining strength. Now, we wouldn't really expect any muscular changes to happen within the first few weeks of an exercise program, but Joan still saw quite a lot of improvement in her symptoms very early on. Now, this is probably because the exercise helped to increase her confidence and decrease her sensitivity around the joint, therefore retraining her brain to realise that the exercise itself wasn't that threatening and subsequently decreasing the sensitivity in the surrounding tissues. And the last point, point number 5, is you need to think function and not pain if you have a long-term condition like osteoarthritis. Now, Joan's story did go very well, but at the end of her treatment, she still did have some pain in her knee. So if we had just focused on pain as our measure of improvement for Joan, the fact that she was still in pain a few weeks and months later could have been pretty demoralising. She could have got quite frustrated and fed up and ultimately felt like she wasn't getting anywhere. Instead, we used functional activities to measure her improvement. The exercises themselves, the stairs, and also walking distance and speed. And this gave us a much more accurate idea of how Joan was improving. It also meant that we could set her some short-term and long-term goals. This gave her extra motivation and confidence to continue with the treatment. So that was Joan's story. I hope you found it useful. If there are any points within her story that you can relate to, then please do let me know in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. There are some useful links in the description below the video to help you manage your osteoarthritis better. And if you are new around here, then please do hit that subscribe button so you get notified every time I release a new video, which I do every single week. And if you're feeling very generous, you can give me a thumbs up whilst you're there. If you have enjoyed this video, you may also like the video that I have put together on how your brain learns pain. And there is a whole playlist on the channel to help you manage your arthritis better at home. Until next time, I'll see you again very soon.